you very much for joining us very early in the US this morning, and the same time elsewhere in Africa. But last time we noticed that there were issues with the time, because we noticed some people joined 1 hour afterwards or 1 hour before. So I hope, because it's a multi-time event, I hope we're really very delighted to have everybody join us this morning. As you may know, we've been jointly co-hosting with Aldi Associates Africa, an event on a very important topic on COVID vaccine hesitancy, partly because there's been a lot of conversation about the supply of COVID vaccines into Africa, and now very high level conversations are going on manufacturing. But it's one thing to have the vaccines, and it's another thing to use it. And so we've been covering various stakeholders to have conversations, important conversations around vaccine hesitancy. And today, I think we have two groups of very important stakeholders, community leaders and religious leaders. And without further ado, we're really very excited that we have very interesting people who have had experience across different parts of the continent and in different countries. And so look at this from different perspectives. And without further ado, I'm going to hand over to my co-host, Rebecca, who will take it from here. Over to you.
Hey, greetings, everybody. Salam, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I'm connecting to you through the USA. So I will say salam, bonjour, bon oui, bon, whatever else I can't, habari. So there you go, in various languages. So this conversation, this webinar series on vaccine hesitancy in Africa is a very, very important conversation that needs to happen. Because not only does it affect Africa, but it's really a worldwide phenomenal issue that we have. And we want to really bring authentic conversation directly to people, our audiences. So this is not a conversation of researchers talking to researchers, but really today it's about community leaders and appreciating the role that community leaders play in addressing vaccine hesitancy in Africa. This is the second of our series. The first series focused on healthcare providers. Today is community leaders, and we have phenomenal community leaders representing leaders in the faith community, religious community, the Islam community, the Christian community. And we also have a phenomenal lady representing youth activist who was a youth activist of the year in 2019 for Africa. And she's also a mental health professional. And we have a wonderful nurse administrator. So we're going to be hearing from them. And then next, hopefully you will join us again for the last part of our series, which is going to be in December, looking at other sectors that are really important in this whole conversation around vaccine hesitancy, and that's the media and businesses and government officials. So when we talk about vaccine hesitancy, there's so many factors to think about. It's a matter of really of access in terms of the vaccine to Africa, but it's also access throughout the various countries and various communities. So when we talk about Africa and African countries and communities having access to vaccine, we're not just talking about urban centers. We have to be really intentional in getting the vaccines to a rural community. And also when we talk about hesitancy, we're talking about issues around lack of awareness and misinformation, myths that exist and perpetuate vaccine hesitancy, conspiracy theories, all kinds of conspiracy theories that are out there, and religious beliefs that seem to impede on the efforts to address, take uptake of vaccine. So this issue is a global issue because we're having similar conversation about that here in the US and also in Europe. So having access to the vaccine is not just the solution of the problem. Part of the problem that we need to think think about at the same time is about vaccine hesitancy. Because access doesn't quite translate into implementation, everybody picking up the vaccine. A case in point is South Africa that can provide vaccine to everybody, but only 17% of the population are vaccinated. And so the hesitancy piece is very, very critical issue that we need to address. Even in the United States, we have issues with giving all kinds of incentives for people to be vaccinated. Lottery, money, and all that is because, again, because of the hesitancy that people have. And these hesitancies are related, as I mentioned, to vaccine hesitancy, attitude about uptake. So the role of healthcare providers to convince population to be vaccinated is absolutely important, and how they communicate that, how they can be very convincing. It's also issues around misinformation, as I mentioned, religion, immunization rollout plans. If we don't have a really effective rollout plans, then we would not be able to have a sufficient system of immunizing our population. And then there are various social influencers and enabling environment that we need to look at. And we're going to spend some time in the third webinar having that conversation as well, especially the role of media and social media and all that stuff. So when we think then in terms of what is the status right now, so as of October, the total of 8.4 million COVID cases have been identified, and 215,760 deaths have been recorded across 55 countries. And this represents 3.5% of all cases worldwide. And then there are various level of vaccine hesitancy or willingness, actually. And with the Africa CDC survey identified that 59% in the Democratic Republic to 94% in Ethiopia in terms of willingness level if COVID vaccine is available. But only 15 African countries, representing which nearly a third of the continent, have fully vaccinated 10% of their people against COVID. So 10% is really a drop in the bucket when we think about the population. So this means many African countries fell short of the September 30 deadline set by WHO in terms of vaccinating 10% of the population throughout Africa. So hence, that's why we're having this very important conversation with you, with community leaders that are so highly influential. So let's take a short video clip. Let's take a look at that, Jamie, to introduce this topic about the role of religious leaders in influencing vaccine willingness. So Jamie?
us.
They're sharing false rumors and lies about COVID-19 vaccines.
This is the final enslavement.
And they have influence because they're religious leaders.
I look at anti-vaccine content all day, every day. My name is Kalina Kultai. So these figureheads who have a large platform, ties, are often respected, and they also have the cultural competency to understand what is important, what are the values, what is necessary to make that information powerful and resonate.
It's a minority spreading these false messages. Most leaders in every faith are trying to do the opposite.
The vaccine is a gift of hope.
But when religious leaders spread wrong information about vaccines, it can be powerful. In India, this man suggests the vaccine is an international conspiracy to feed cow's blood to Hindus. But there's no cow's blood in COVID-19 vaccines. A Greek Orthodox bishop says slaughtered fetuses are used to make vaccines. But this emotive language is extremely misleading.
There were 2 fetuses aborted in the 1960s that are used to produce a cell line that's still used today in the process of making deactivated virus that goes into the vaccine. But that does not mean that they're taking aborted babies and putting it in your vaccines.
In Israel, a rabbi claims the vaccine will make you gay, which is nonsensical.
All those claiming to be saved.
And in the US, some evangelical Christians are debating whether vaccines are the mark of the beast, a sign of the devil, and the end of times.
The mark of the beast.
I think it's difficult for social media companies to figure out where is the appropriate moderation limit when it comes to
So thank you, Jamie, for that short clip. And that clip was put together by BBC. So hopefully that gives you like a really introduction to the fruitful conversation that we're going to have this morning. So let me just introduce myself. My name is Rubkat Nafu, and I'm here in the US, originally from Ethiopia, and I'm a research associate at Johns Hopkins School of Medicine. And I'm also the founder and CEO of RDA Africa, headquartered in Ethiopia with a branch in Nairobi, Kenya, and also R&D Associates right here in Northeast America. And I am really delighted to introduce my dear colleague at Hopkins, Dr. Noah, and he is going to be the moderator for the session this morning. So Dr. Noah, off to you.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Yes. Like you said, Rebecca, it's really a pleasure to be here and to be able to have this important conversation. It is really important, and I like the way that this was started, you know, to kind of with that video to show how powerful this kind of misinformation can have. And so we are really delighted that we have some religious leaders who can participate in this panel today. So are you going to call the religious leaders, Rebecca?
No, you would be asking them to do brief introductions of themselves before you ask them the questions.
I actually don't have the list of the religious leaders. I have the questions, but I don't have the list.
Okay. All right, very good. So let's begin with
I think, Rebecca, I believe there was an agenda sent. Okay, and I believe the agenda actually had the community leaders first. So I don't know if that was a miss. So I think we have Miss Amisa Ahmed and Dr. Grace Ugeho going first.
Okay.
Okay.
Habari Amisa, so you're kicking this off.
Okay. Thank you for inviting me and giving me this opportunity, and I'm really happy that there's such conversations going on, and inviting different people who are very, very key stakeholders in making sure that we are combating vaccine hesitancy. And what I can say is that as a young community leader, I have personally experienced. I am actually working with other youth to make sure that we are combating this aspect of vaccine hesitancy. How do we do that? So I can share an example we work with community leaders. So this is what happens, is that they're through, like from the video that we have seen, it also happens in our place, whereby you see that people are also having different, different attitudes, different approach, different perspective and myth about what the vaccine has. And women are told that it causes, it affects your fertility. And for men, it makes them being impotent. So you feel like there's so much, a lot of misconceptions about the vaccine here and there, and that if we don't find a way to actually look into it, you find that nobody, yes, in Kenya we can say that there is vaccine, but how many people are outside there going to get the vaccine? So what we are doing actually is you're working with individuals like you.
Oh, Anissa, before you tell us what you do, can you just tell us who you are, a little bit about your title and stuff, and then we'll get to the
I thought the first 7 minutes had already started. Okay. So my name is Amisa Rashid. I'm the founder and executive director of Nivisha Foundation that deals with community resilience and mental health. I'm also a youth activist, and I have a lot of accolades and awards to my name because of the community work that I do in regards to mental health and just being the voice for the youth, especially those who are underrepresented.
Okay. Fantastic. And Amis Ahmed is a bit modest.